Hi, everybody. My name is Chynna Lewis. If you're an upcoming artist, please go and check out Go Produce.
Bow, SmArtist. Chynna Lewis is here, and she's a Taiwanese Canadian pop/R&B singer-songwriter and producer based in Toronto. Originally from Taiwan, Chynna moved to Canada at the age of 10. In university, Chynna discovered her love for soul and R&B music while fronting a Motown band called The Touch. Chynna has had the honor of supporting and learning from artists and producers such as Ed Sheeran, Jessie Reyez, Charlotte Day Wilson, Matthew Burnett, and Julie Black. After a decade of supporting these and other artists, Chynna is now embarking on a journey of her own as a solo artist. SmArtist, this is Chynna Lewis.
Hi, hi, hi.
Hello, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your patience. I want to make the most of the rest of your time that we have you and make the most of this and go produce, shall we? Let's start with our first segment called...
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. This segment is called The Basics. The basics. we like to make things a little bit more exciting and unexpected with these transitions. So let's see what fun we can uncover here. Why music over anything else, Chynna?
I feel like music kind of chose me, and it's been the avenue that I've always been naturally drawn to express myself and to, vent my thoughts. And it's a therapeutic place for me. And I also just feel really good doing it. So, yeah.
Fair, very fair, very fair. Okay. Was there a point in your life where you decided, I need to take this more seriously and make this a career as opposed to just a hobby?
Yeah, definitely. So coming out of high school, my plan was to I had applied for some programs, like a program in biology at the University of Guelph, the commerce program at Queen's. And I never considered music. I had always taken music and, been interested in music and taken lessons and all of that. But I had never considered it. And at the last moment, I kind of took a left turn and decided to take a victory lap after high school and decide what I wanted to do. And then in that year, I think everybody should do that. Going straight out of high school into something that you're going to do forever seems really daunting. So it was good to
Absolutely.
take the year and figure it out and, live some life, work a job, play some gigs, do some things, and figure out what it was that I liked doing. And then from there, I decided I wanted to go into music. And then I found out about Humber College in Toronto, which wasn't too far from where I was living in Guelph at the time. And the audition was 3 months away, so I had time to get something together, audition, hope for the best, and I got in. And this is sort of the beginning of that journey.
Absolutely. Okay. So I'm curious about a little bit about the audition. I want to get some information here. For someone that hasn't ever done an audition before, what kinds of things should they be practicing? Is it like similar to a performance, or how do they even get that audition to begin with?
I think it depends on the program. The Humber College program that I went to is a contemporary jazz program. So all the music surrounds the jazz music tradition. So part of the audition, there were several elements. There was a theory test, an ear training exam, as well as an audition in front of like an actual person where you had to sing a couple of songs of your choice. And they send you different criteria ahead of time saying, we'd like for you to sing a fast swing song, and we'd like for you to sing another song of your choice that's slower, and, yada, yada. So you meet those criteria and you talk to them for a little bit, and then you leave and hope for the best.
Hope for the best. Okay. And then in the steps leading up to that audition, what kinds of routines were you doing? Like how were you practicing at home? What was that like?
I hired a piano teacher, actually, a jazz piano teacher, to just teach me about the basics of jazz theory and, you know, what jazz sounded like and what a jazz singer sounded like, because I didn't really grow up with jazz music. So that was pretty new to me. So he helped me, you know, just get used to the language, picked out some songs for me. And the funny thing was, when I actually auditioned the day of my teacher who auditioned me said, "Oh, so it says here you're a singer-songwriter. Why aren't you doing one of your songs?" And I was like, "Oh no, I'm not getting in." I was like, "I should have
Well,
done
what
one of
was
my
your
songs."
response? Should you have done your song?
I just said, "Well, you asked for jazz on your criteria, so I'm giving you jazz." But,
Fair.
you know, I was pretty sure I didn't get in at that point.
And it obviously didn't work out that way.
No, it didn't. It worked out in my favor,
Awesome.
which is awesome.
In your time that you've been in the music industry professionally, what was the first lesson that you've learned?
Hmm. I've learned that there is a lot of rejection and falling down, so to speak. So, you know, although you're doing something that is fairly personal to you and your body, even, you have to learn to just take that with, you know, take comments and things with a grain of salt, and take things with a stride, and move forward. And whatever is not meant for you is not meant for you. And you just keep on going. And whether you're moving sideways or forwards, as long as you're moving, I count that as a win. So that's been a lesson that I've been learning just as an artist.
For real. I feel like we learn that as
Mm-hmm.
individuals as well. Is there a
Mm-hmm.
time where you struggled with this and you can look back and be like, wow, I learned this and that from that experience?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a lesson I keep on learning. You know that, like, I feel like I read something that said, um, you know, you could hear something 1,000 times and not really learn it until like you're ready to learn it. I
Hmm.
feel like this is one of those things that I'm still constantly learning. Especially, I have new music coming out soon, and even just gearing up for that process again of, you know, not babying it and letting it just go and seeing it as a step forward. And because it's terrifying, especially if it's something that came from you and you're not hidden behind, you know, this time around, I'm not singing for Charlotte. This time around, I'm not singing for somebody else. It's not somebody else's art on the
It's
line
you.
and somebody else's identity. It's me. And it can be really difficult to remove the ego from that equation. But,
Right.
you know, I'm trying, and I think it's really healthy to do that. Uh, yeah.
Are there any ways that you cope with it to like make you better at it?
um, it's a combination of crying sometimes,
Crying's cool. I
and
cry.
crying's
Crying's
cool.
cool.
You know, and then just telling yourself that, for me, I think it's just doing it more helps me get used to that exercise. It's like anything else. The more you do it, it feels less daunting and less scary. And that feeling in your stomach goes away after a while. But I also don't want that feeling to go away completely, because that's sort of the excitement of it all, you know?
Absolutely.
But yeah,
Absolutely.
crying and um, and just kind of telling myself that this is kind of morbid, but lately I've been telling myself, well, you're going to die someday. So have fun, you know, enjoy. What the heck,
Exactly.
you
Like
know?
someday can literally be tomorrow, you know? We
Yes,
don't even know when,
yes.
so live now. Yeah. Yeah,
Live now.
I'm with that.
Exactly.
Grumpy likes that too. If you could change one thing in this crazy wild music industry, what would it be?
I think I would like for people to be more open to sharing the negatives and the vulnerable parts of being a creative, and being more open to sharing the process of that they've gone through, because it's for anybody who's gone through it and is going through it, they understand how many hats you have to wear, how many things you have to get together, and, not to complain, but it is a very tall order sometimes, running your own ship. Yeah, I think I would love there have been people that have really helped me along the way and are still helping me. And, like people like yourselves who are wanting to talk to artists like me who aren't really anybody. So I would love for people to lift up other artists and share in their struggles and share in their, perhaps their methods and stuff like that, to uplift each other, because it can be kind of not ruthless isn't the word, but it can just be tough. And I feel like everyone's kind of like, this is my slice of the pie, and this is, I don't want to share that.
I'd say it's cutthroat, and it can be lonely too.
Mm-hmm.
You're spending all this time working and building and creating and putting out, and you're almost sharing all of what you are, and people are just interpreting it however they see it, but they're not like seeing you for who you are the rest of the time. They just take that one piece. I share that feeling. These kinds of podcasts, these kinds of conversations help, but do you think there's something that other upcoming artists can do to make that more actionable, to expedite this change?
Well, something like social media. I was talking about this with my dad last night. I was telling him that leading up to this release, it kind of drives me crazy that I have to post about this like hyper positive, curated version of myself that's, the best photos and the best captions and the best everything. And the thing is, I would love to be able to, for other artists and people to start, especially on social media, to start sharing some of the hardships. And I think it's already happening. I think it's just, for the most part, it's very saturated and with positivity. And a lot of people feel like they have to be, match that positivity. And positivity is great. But I feel like just being more real overall on social media, and I would love to see that happen.
Take the mask off.
Just especially for the younger generation too. The kiddies are watching, and
that's
for
true.
them to know that that people are imperfect.
It influences generations. No, it's very true. Yeah, I'm with that change. Alrighty, Chynna, we are now moving into our next segment. This next segment is called the speed round. It's the speed round.
Yeah, that was a terrible take.
Oh, nice. It worked with no mistakes. Good. Okay. So the speed round, Chynna, what it is I've got 20 different questions for you, and they're very short form questions. You have less than 3 seconds to answer each. And if you don't, you will be hearing a buzzer that sounds like that. Yeah, great timing, Grumpy. We got this.
Oh, goodness.
And then we can justify them afterwards. Cool?
Okay.
All right. What is your favorite activity to do?
Hang out with family and friends.
Did you grow up in a tight-knit musical family?
Yes, I did.
What is your favorite meal?
Noodles. Anything noodles.
Adventure or leisure?
Oh, adventure.
In university, which artists or sounds shaped your voice and musicality?
Stevie Wonder, Aretha Franklin, Whitney Houston, Ray Charles.
Is water wet?
Yes.
Who's an artist that you currently find the most exciting?
Oh, really digging loony music right now.
Interesting. Which is your favorite song to play with your brothers?
Oh, man. Oh, no.
What is your favorite city?
Toronto, I guess.
Do you have any nicknames?
Chines.
Oh, Chines. Did you compose, produce, perform, and engineer your most recent EP?
I sure did.
Damn. This is the best interview you've ever had. We had a rocky start, but don't hit me short.
It sure is. Best ever.
Yeah. Dead or alive, who would you like to have dinner with?
Conan O'Brien.
Interesting. Are you the first Asian Spice Girl?
Yes,
Of
I
course.
am.
The next round is on me. What are you having?
Okay. Wait, on you? Like I have to ask you?
No. The next round of whatever is on me. What are you having?
Oh, kombucha.
Nice. Make the first sound that comes to your mind.
Meow.
How often do you work on your craft?
Every day.
Who's your all-around favorite person in the world?
My partner, Tom.
Nice. If movie is to watch, then Netflix is too.
Chill?
Can you imagine a world without music?
Not at all. No.
Not even a little bit. We made it to the speed round, Chynna. Nice.
Oh gosh. Stressed.
That wasn't too bad now, was it?
No. A lot of that. Thank you for doing the research, and
I got to.
those questions were very personal.
I got to. You're a very interesting person, you know? Do you have any of those questions do you want to justify any of those?
Not that I can think of. They were
Okay,
really,
I've got
fun,
one that
easy
stood
ones,
out to me.
Okay.
So you have your experience with the various songwriters and producers from the past.
Yes.
But creating your own EP from top to bottom, composition, production, performing, engineering, that's a lot to do by yourself. Is there any reason why you chose to do all of that by yourself instead of like, engineer, you do this for me or with me even, and then you do this and this with me? Why just you?
That's a great question. And it's a combination of COVID, not being able to see people and do those things with people, and just realizing that there was I started out the journey with bringing my songs to a producer and having them sort of dress up the song, the way we kind of both saw it. But I just found that throughout that journey, I really wanted to be in the driver's seat, and I really wanted to know what he was doing and how to change certain things and how to articulate certain things that I liked, but I had no idea how to do that. And so I chose to do it on my own because, and through that journey, I realized in the next project, I want to be involving other people, collaborating with other professionals and learning from them. And it'll be a process of, doing it on my own and that too. And, I think it's just, you're more empowered as an artist to understand every step that happens to your music, so that when you're handing your baby off to somebody, you're not completely in the dark about what's happening, and you're more educated.
Yeah. How long, I know it's hard to say from beginning to end, but roughly how long did this EP take for you, just so the artists have an idea? It's like, oh, you don't just put out an EP for the sake of putting out an EP. I mean, you can, but if you want to do it properly, it takes time and effort. How long did you invest into this?
I would say about 2 years, roughly 2 years, starting with like the songwriting, and then from the songwriting, you move into the grant writing process, where you're asking for funding to make your project, and then from there you figure out your plan, and you actually find the people to make the music, and so on and so forth. It is very time consuming, and I would say that in the 2 years I spent, I want to say 75 to 80% of my time on that, putting in hours every single day doing that, and the rest of the time was just to do other things to pay the bills. So not a lot of free time left, but it's just kind of like the way I had to do it, or it just was never going to happen.
Yeah, no, this is a lifestyle. This is a lifestyle. This is not a 9 to 5
Exactly.
time to go kind of thing, you know. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I hear that. Here we go with what's your take?
What's your take? Say what your take is. What's your take? Let me hear you say. What's your take? Can't hear you now. What's your take?
Hey, I like that. I like that. What's your take? All right. So this is back to open discussion now. There's no more pressure, no more 3-second rule. And we just want your wisdom.
Okay.
We've put together a theme. The theme for this episode itself is where can following the sound of your voice lead you? And I feel like your voice, your heart, both kind of have led you to this path. Ultimately, to doing this project by yourself that we kind of just spoke about, but along the way, you've done a lot of different things as well. So at the beginning of your year or beginning of your career, maybe right after university, you probably had a couple of goals that you wanted to set for yourself. I'm curious to know, what were those initial goals? And then after you accrued some experience, how did those change?
So after university, I had a lot of debt to pay off. So
Yep.
I
Dollars.
really, really prioritized that. I didn't want to start my career with a hole in the ground. I wanted to at least start from level up. And so I wanted to still be a musician and make money and somehow have a lifestyle where I can pay that off and still do what I went to school doing. So that turned into, becoming a singer for hire. That was like my tool. That was my job. I sang for, anything, you name it. I sang for bar mitzvahs and, and engagement parties and weddings and proposals and anything that would, help me reach that goal of paying off my debt. And, and also coming from a family where, because we immigrated here when I was young, money was always a very contentious subject in our lives. And I didn't want my life to also be repeating some of those patterns. So it was very, very important for me to get that under control, or just in a place where I was feeling good. But once I reached that goal, I paid off my debt. And I want to be transparent about this because I think, it's kind of tricky talking about money, but I came out of school with $40,000 in debt, and I paid that off being a full-time musician in about, I want to say 6 years after school. Wow. 5 years after school. And I really patted myself on the back for being able to do that with music.
That's huge.
And then, yeah, and I don't celebrate the wins, but that was a win for me. And once that was, done, I realized that, okay, but now I've set my life up to, all my work and everything is set up to meet this goal, but this goal is met. So where do I go now? And so I found myself starting to feel less, my goal was less clear to me. And so from there, I started to figure out what it is that I wanted to do. And, like anybody with more financial freedom and not a ton of debt, you're able to you have the privilege of starting to think about what would make me happy. What do I want to do? So that's when my goals changed to perhaps more career furthering things and what I wanted to do with music in general.
So money very clearly has a hold, like a lock almost on, not like it doesn't restrict people from doing things, but it can restrict people from doing things. It restricts access. But once you were able to focus on different goals that were solely for you, you were almost able to take it to the next level as an artist yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And
so
I
try
think
and get
for
rid
a
of your
lot
debts as soon as possible.
Get rid of those debts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I mean,
yeah.
like, or do whatever it is that works for you. But that's what helped me. And it was a very intense period of time of just, learning where my limits were and how hard I could push myself. And then, And then I felt like, it's kind of like running with like weights on your shoulders. Now the weights are falling off and you're able to take those muscles that you've gained and move on
Yeah.
to the new things,
That's a great way to do it. I mean, you're going to have, if you went to school, if you have surprise bills, whatever, you're going to have something kind of restricting you, like an anchor weighing you down. So it was a very smart approach. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, a lot of people won't. They're like, oh, I'm just gonna get that break and then I'll pay everything off. And you're just kind of digging yourself deeper and deeper. So the switch in mindset is key. Did you so far, have you made a business plan, or have you considered making a business plan?
I have. It's not a full, I don't think it's as realized as it should be, but but now that you've reminded me, I got some homework to do after this.
Oh, shoot.
But yeah, I mean, obviously the next step is to hopefully run a business from what I do. So much of it has been investing in it, and outpouring of energy and funds. And next step is figuring out how to have a sustainable career. And I'm a more mature artist too. Like I just turned 30 this year. Woohoo.
Same.
Oh, cool. Are you 1991?
Yep.
Oh, yo, that's special. That is special.
Happy belated birthday.
Yeah. So, life, when you're younger, I feel like your goals are just more like, I want to be this and I want to do that. But now goals are becoming tied to the other parts of life, tied to my family, tied to, potential of future, things with my partner, having, like a house and or travel, whatever it is, like trying to tie in what I have now with the next parts of life. And that's a little bit tricky, but something that I'm thinking about and I'd like to make happen,
Yeah.
My life.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And with your day-to-day, you obviously can't just spend 24 hours practicing singing. You've got to do some marketing. You've got to do some finance. You've got to do some advertising. How do you manage that and your energy throughout the day?
I've been trying to start the day, and a dear friend of mine suggested this to me, who is a songwriter. He said, start with the writing. And, when your brain is fresh after you've had your coffee in the morning and you're ready to sit down and work, dedicate that really fresh, untainted energy before you check your emails, before you do any of those things. Sit down and, process some of the things that have been on your mind and write ideas down. And once you've put some time into doing that, at least after I've done that, I will move into the other things that I have to get done, like emails and, and obviously it changes from day to day, but I find that prioritizing the creative thing right at the top of the day has been really great for me. And really sticking to that has been pretty key.
Do you find that there are well, you said every day is not the same, but there are probably days, I follow a similar routine with journal writing, but there are days for me where I really don't feel like it, but you still just do it. Is it like a consistency thing for you, like to build discipline?
Definitely. It's like a muscle. And I feel like sometimes the best way to get started is to just start. And and you might not have anything that I might not have anything that I'm proud of to show for it, but at least I gave myself a chance for something to strike and for something to come to me.
And that also does help down the road with your other kinds of tasks, especially if you're going to be an artist. You're an entrepreneur in itself. So you're going to have to spend some time focused on marketing, focused on financing. So if you have the ability to focus on what you actually really enjoy in terms of the creativity, and you do that and you build that discipline, that muscle, you can do those more daunting tasks down the road more easily. So it helps the whole business thrive. I like your friend's advice. Awesome.
I'll let him know.
Let's talk a little bit about the EP. You haven't released it yet.
No.
I'm curious to know what is your release strategy? I've seen you marketing a little bit on your social medias, but because this is happening so soon, I think this is a prime time to discuss what kinds of strategies are you implementing.
So the marketing strategy that I've decided to go with, I am working within obviously a limited fund, so I kind of had to choose pretty carefully, and just like anybody, I guess.
We out here, we doing what we can.
Yeah. I've hired a digital marketing strategist who is helping me, maximize my social media and helping me with planning ads and stuff, and for it to building audiences that I already have and audiences similar to them, and basically pushing the music out to the next rung, people outside of my current network. And as well, I'm working with Dalton, who was featured on your podcast, which I loved. I was
Super
listening
cool
to that
guy.
episode.
Yeah.
Awesome. So he has been helping me with the PR side of things, building my story and putting the music in front of the right people. And then I've also hired a US promotion, radio promotion company that's been helping me get my music onto college radio and non-commercial radio and things like that. And so, yeah, that's been it. And the next step is to start playing shows and doing and meeting people and connecting with people in real life.
Yeah, the real life part.
Yeah.
That for me is the most exciting part. I don't know about you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like actually doing
Mm-hmm.
it. Yeah, okay, that's awesome. Okay. Of all of those tricks or strategies that you've implemented,
Mm-hmm.
do you find that any of them have been a particular struggle? Did one of them take longer than another? So like if you're doing this, consider doing this early, like 6 weeks earlier before you release, like how much time did you give yourself to plan that?
In general, things have been pushed back, and I would say for anybody who's doing this, do start as early as you can. As soon as your music is ready to be heard, start sending it out to people and reaching out to people and garnering your marketing team and the other part of the marketing thing has been this time around. I've really focused on the visuals for the release, partnering with other creatives in film to, bring some visuals to life with the release, which I've been finding has been, helping me. It's been connecting with the music and also with people. And I think it's been really cool to go further into that part of the creative journey.
Yeah.
But your question was, what's been challenging? Well, I think the challenging part, I've worked with other people in the past where I don't understand sometimes the language that they use can be very cryptic. And I think it's meant to be that way so that when they supply you with, when you hire somebody like doing your marketing or whatever, and they supply you with, and here are all the stats and analytics, they're very hard to understand for the average person. And I think it's purposely designed that way so that, all you see are numbers and things. Like, I guess this looks good,
They know what they're talking about.
Exactly. So it's been challenging to understand that part of it. But like I said earlier, just understanding and asking questions and being a little bit proddy about, hey, what are you doing? What does that mean? What does this mean? And just being kind of annoying about it because, it's my music. It's my baby. I can't just be spending money and not knowing what's going on.
The bigger fool is the person that doesn't ask questions. I mean, like, you're just in the dark constantly by your own choice. Just ask that question. Yeah, makes real sense. Okay. That's a great challenge. Is there a lesson that you learned so far from this whole experience from making this EP?
So many lessons. So many. The most recent one that I've been thinking about, and it pertains to artists in particular, is although you're doing something that's so tied to you and having confidence about it and having belief and positivity surrounding that, it's also good to remind yourself that, you're just another person with something to say, and, say it, put it out, send it out, and not agonize. I'm somebody who I can agonize over something and not, is this the right thing to say? Is it and you'll never know if it's the right move. It's the right thing, the right time, the right moment, the right team. Yeah. And I just think you just got to pick a lane and go and see what happens.
Do the things. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do the things.
Makes sense. Okay.
Exactly.
That's a great, valuable lesson, and you can apply that anywhere. You previously said you did all of this by yourself. Next time you're open to collaborations and that kind of stuff. What are, I suppose, one or two things that you're looking for in people in order to collaborate with them? And then what are one or two red flags you're like, no dice?
Ooh. Oh, you want the tea? Oh, well, I really would like to find people who are in the interest of making something that we're proud of, not just being, I'm just, this is a job, this is the X amount of dollars that I'm going to be paid, and, done, and wipe your hands clean and goodbye. I want to be meeting people who care deeply about what they do, whatever aspect it is that they're part of in the artistic process. And so, yeah, supportive overall, like good vibes, and just open to the creative process, whatever that means for you and that person or you and that group. Just how
do you decipher that?
Openness?
Yeah, like unless you've met this person before, are you having like a Zoom call with them to like see if they got a vibe? Are you inviting them into the session to have a feel good or like a thing with them before you even consider collabing? What does that look like?
Usually it starts with like a collabing thing, like a trial, I guess, to see how it goes, how the song goes, how it feels. And, I think you could sense it pretty early on. And this pertains to your next question. What are some of the red flags? It's when people are projecting what they feel like your music should be, or projecting, perhaps their insecurities about, maybe they don't know where the direction is heading, but they will maybe try and knock you down because they don't understand what your vision is, rather than being open into that creative process. I find that sometimes people can be a little salty and a little bit, like, oh, I don't like that, or that's a shitty idea, or,
How do you navigate that?
Cry.
Throw your drink at them. Stop it.
I feel like for me, it's not taking it too personally. This is their journey and their process and maybe it's not the right time, maybe it's not the right song, whatever. And don't have to burn any bridges. It's just like, well, we tried it, didn't really work, and just taking it less personally and
be professional.
Move on.
Right.
Yeah, professional.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. That's all the questions I've got for your EP. Wow. I do want to ask about performances. It's been some time, I suppose. But what has been your most challenging venue experience? Maybe it's not actually performing. Maybe it's like dealing with the promoter. What like shed some light on that.
Venue experience? Like,
yeah.
Could it be like you just like any past experience with?
Yeah, with a venue, whether it was like actually being on stage and then the mics went out or the lighting or getting up to that. Yeah.
Got you. Okay. So this is one thing that I've noticed as a female artist, and I don't know if it's because I'm an Asian female artist. I try not to like read too much into it, but it's just an observation because I'm usually on the bandstand with more men than women. And I find that especially sound people, and I would say 95% of the time I've run into male sound people who, sound techs who are helping you set up your in-ears and your monitors and your levels and all of that. And they can be quite dismissive sometimes, and, or take the word of, exactly.
Yeah, that's shitty guys.
And take the word of, look to someone who is male in the bandstand for, for the guidance or whatever. And it's just kind of like, well, why are you looking at him?
Yeah.
It's my stuff, ask me. And I would like to see that change. I would like to see, people take that more seriously and not, let that get in the way. There's been some pretty awful experiences with really like awful sound guys at venues, but but also some good ones, so they're not all bad. It's also a very tough job. So I can appreciate that. It's a very involved job, and it's a lot of pressure. So I get that too. But if I'm going to be empathizing with your situation, then
exactly, there's no reason to be rude to anyone. They're all going. Everyone's going through some shit. Yeah. So
exactly.
What would you say to someone that's younger going through a similar experience for the first time? Maybe they're also an Asian girl. Like, what kind of advice would you give them to maybe not get thick skin? Because that's not necessarily the solution, but how can they achieve that kind of respect that they deserve?
I would say it could be a combination of talking to the people in your band, and if that happens at one venue, perhaps you could say, well, the next time a sound person dismisses me and talks to you because you're a man, then you can redirect that question back to me. Well, don't ask me. The question's for her, so people in the bandstand could assist in that process. As well, I feel like you can calmly and politely say what's on your mind, and ask for what you want until you get it, and hopefully you get it. And you don't want to piss them off because the state of your sound is going to be in their hands. So there's also a level of like, how much do I push? How much can I,
that's a fine line almost.
Did you hear that? You don't want to piss me off. I'll cut your mic right away.
There he is. I've been waiting to hear from him.
Oh, I love you, Grumpy. That's awesome. Okay, so how about this then instead? What is the next thing? I might have another question pop in my head, but what is the next thing or next kind of trick that you want to try while you're on stage?
Ooh, choreography.
Okay.
Yeah. I'd love to incorporate just some simple things, and I'm making everybody do it, not just the ladies. Everybody's gonna do it.
Everyone's got to
head
dance.
Tilt here, little head tilt there. Just a little bit of something.
Yep. Yo, if you need some backup dancers, you know how to reach me. Awesome.
All right. I'll hold you to that.
Yes. Speaking of backup dancers, you've done backup singing. What was that kind of like following the life of a bigger artist, being their support?
I love it. I would still do it. It's not like it's not like a black or white thing where I'm starting to do this and I wouldn't do this other thing anymore. I really find it very admirable to be, getting an inside glimpse basically into this artist's journey and being a part of their shows. And, one example in particular was we played the Late Late Show hosted by James Corden with Charlotte Day Wilson in 2019 as well.
Oh, cool.
2019 was a good year. And yeah, it was so cool because, I've never been a part of anything like that. It was really awesome. And I felt really honored to be a part of that. And also the two other backup singers are my best friends in the whole world. So it was just the best. You know, we got to go to LA. We got to, you know, experience the things. And
did you
really
just fly to LA or did you do a tour?
We just flew to LA for that one thing, and then she opened up for Danny Caesar at the Budweiser stage right after that, and we were part of that as well. So it was a really fun opportunity. And
do you have any stories from the Danny Caesar concert?
Oh man. Well, it was incredible, but Charlotte was the act right before, and oh man. So the first night we had a sound thing go wrong, like right when we started. And if you've ever, you know, been on that stage or played that stage, it's a huge stage. And that's been a dream stage for me to play for a really long time, and very daunting. You're like looking out at a sea of people. And so something went on. Basically, long story short, the drummer's in-ears weren't plugged into the board. Oh. And, you know, not naming any names or blaming anybody, but the show can't go on without the drummer. Just can't. And, you know, good luck. Especially in a place like that. Everything you say is like, caw, caw, caw. Everything is just boomy and washy, and it's just a cloud of sound, and there's nothing defined in your ears. Yeah. So you cling onto the drummer for dear life. And so the show starts, and the singers are the first ones to make sound. We're the first ones to start. And all I can hear in my ears are, the drummer doesn't have his ears plugged in. Oh gosh, what's going on? And just chaos in my ears. And I'm just like, 30,000 people are listening to this right now. Oh
the show must go on. Yeah.
The show must go on. But I did hear from the Danny people that every first show for them has always been a tough show. And once you get over that, it's smooth sailing.
There you go. Yeah. You did the storm by then. That's awesome.
Yes,
thank you for sharing that story.
Oh, man.
We've got one quick final segment left. This one is called Clear the Air.
Okay.
Stop recording.
Okay.
Cut.
I love these sound effects. Are you cueing those?
I am cueing them. We're doing this live.
Well done.
No, thank you. So Clear the Air itself is just two questions. We've got one from one of our fans. We call them SmArtists. And so I'm going to share her name is Katie McCallan. Shout out Katie. And then the second one is going to come from our very own Grumpy Sound Guy.
Okay.
All right. So I got the backup. I don't know why that didn't work, but no more time on that. This is Katie.
All right, I'll lean in.
Hi, Chynna. My name is Katie. What are your thoughts on getting signed to a label? Is this part of your future? How do you know which to sign to?
Did you get that?
Yes, I did. That's a great question, Katie. I don't know the answer to that question. In the community that I'm in, it's a mixture of people who are indie and people who are signed to labels and indie labels and whatnot. I think it depends on where you are in your career and depends on what's right for you. For me, I'm a songwriter first, and I'm in the interest of owning my songs. So perhaps signing the rights away to those wouldn't be the most suitable for me. I'm not really sure. But if I'm trying to think of like what I would advise other people, other younger artists to do, I feel like, know what you're getting into, maybe hire a lawyer if you're not sure, and just get to know all the fine print and figure out if it's the right move for you. But yeah, that's a great question. And honestly, a never ending question. I'm never sure.
I heard that.
Yeah.
One good response I've heard.
What would just curious, what would you think about like
for signing a record label
at
this point in time? I personally don't like the idea of signing to a record label at the level that I'm at. I think you need to have a lot going on. You need to have probably your own manager before you're even signed by that label. You know, you have to have a team. You have to be able to run a team effectively, because if not, they're just going to exploit you. If you're in it just to like be on stage for the fame, then this industry is not for you, and they're going to abuse your mental health. You won't survive this. Like it happens time and time again. But also, if you do, I think, wants to sign a record label, I'm not against that. I would consider what the record label specifically has done. Don't just sign to a label because it's a label. Do some homework around them and figure out, if my 10-year goal is this, I can be with this label for 3 to 5 years and they will help me get to that 10-year, as opposed to we're going this direction now. That can throw your whole life off. So don't just get signed to get signed. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
There you go, Katie.
Yeah. Thanks, Katie. Big shout out to that. Okay. So how about this? Grumpy, can you ask your question?
Ed Sheeran, Jesse Reyes, Julie Black, and some other artists have supported you throughout your career, Chynna. I want you to advise someone who's trying to follow your footsteps, very, very technically directed, as to how to get these kinds of support. Try to leave out the very pretty sounding, like, be yourself and be original. Try to focus on technicalities. What should they be looking for? And if you could share if you could share how that experience was for you, getting this kind of support, that would be great.
I would say in the beginning, say yes to opportunities. You never know where they're going to lead, and take risks, and also, be very professional. There are so many talented people in the music scene that there's just no room for, people who are late, people who have bad energy, be punctual, be prepared, always practice more than you think you need to, learn the other singer's parts, and, listen to the lyrics, get to know the music. And if you have the time to do so, just get to know, the more prepared you are, the better. I would say if it's a singer and you're starting out, listen to a lot of music and, mimic people and, practice and every day. And if you want to be a writer and you're not really like, I want to be a singer that can support, because it's been an interesting journey for me. I've been a singer that has had to sound like a lot of other people. And then all through that journey, just to come back to the other side to be like, well, what do I sound like? So if you're in the interest of being a backup singer and you want to have, a voice that can be super malleable, then, listen to a lot of singers and, listen to a lot of different music. And what else? And just, the hang. You gotta make sure that you got a good hang. And when you're at the gig, you're at, ask questions, get to know people, because sometimes it's surprising the opportunities that you get later on in life. It's somebody, from school or somebody that you met once upon a time, you did a gig with or whatever, and says, like, for example, I'm singing the national anthem at the Raptors game this coming Saturday. And that opportunity came from a different wedding band that I used to sing with. So
that's so awesome.
That's always get to know the people you're playing with, and build your network and play with lots of different people and lots of different kinds of music. Yeah. Build your community.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you, Grumpy, for that question. That was a great question.
Yeah.
And Chynna, great response,
Grumpy.
actually. So with that, Chynna, do you have any final words?
No. Well, thank you for having me and, having this conversation. It's been really awesome to talk to you. And, I want to obviously I want to keep listening to the podcast, and great job with what you're doing and the intention of helping other artists. That goes back to what I was saying before, of just other people uplifting, artists uplifting each other. We need each other. And I love that. I love that you guys are doing this, and I'm very grateful to have the opportunity to sit here and talk with you. You're a great host, and it's very fun. And my single is coming out on Friday, so check it out, October 22nd.
I will definitely be sharing that on our social medias, most definitely.
Awesome.
Big ups, big ups. We did not mention where we can find you. I will include it in the show notes, but can you mention it here as well?
You can find me on all the social media platforms, but my handle is Chynna Lewis with a Y and 2 N's. I'm on all the platforms, and hope to connect with y'all.
Yeah. All right. Chynna, thank you so much for being here. SmArtist, this is the end of the episode. If you want to connect with me or other like-minded individuals, check us out on our free Facebook group. Get out of here. Free Facebook group. It is goproduce.ca/groups. I'll include that in the show notes as well. My name is Big Lou, and I want to see you there. We out.